In this video, we are going to learn about another Python built-in data type, tuples. A tuple in Python is an ordered, immutable collection of elements. This means that once a tuple is created, its element cannot be modified, added, or removed. Tuples are similar to lists, but they have some key differences that make them useful in certain situations. They are often used to store related data, such as the x and y coordinate of a point, or to return multiple values from a function. Tuples can be created using parentheses and separating the values with comma, or by using the tuple constructor. We can also create a tuple without parentheses by just using commas. My tuple equal 1, 2, 3. This is called tuple packing because we pack multiple values into one variable. To create a tuple with only one value, you need to look carefully at the syntax. My singleton equal open parentheses 5, close parentheses. Do not forget the comma after the first value, otherwise Python will not consider this expression as a tuple, but as simply the int 5. To make your code easier to read, use the constructor instead. To access the value in a tuple, we use square bracket on the index of the value. Remember, in Python, the index starts from 0. So the first value has an index of 0, the second value has an index of 1, and so on. For example, to print the first color in our tuple, we write print color square bracket 0, close the square bracket. This will print red. We can also use negative indexes to access the value from the end of the tuple. For example, to print the last color in our tuple, we write print colors open square bracket -1 close the square bracket. This will print blue. One of the main differences between tuples and lists is that tuples are immutable, which means that we cannot change their value once they are created. Lists are mutable, which means that we can add, remove, or modify their value. For example, if we try to change the first color in our tuples to orange, we will get an error. Color square bracket 0 equal orange will result in type error, tuple object does not support item assignment. However, if we do the same thing with a list, it will work. So, why should we use tuple instead of list? There are several reasons. Tuples are faster than lists because they are simpler and require less memory. Tuples are safer than lists because they prevent accidental changes to the data. Tuples can be used as keys in dictionary, a data structure covered in another video. Tuples can be returned by function, which make it easy to return multiple values at once. Let's see some examples of how to use tuple in practice. One common use case for tuples is to store coordinate or point in two-dimensional or three-dimensional space. For example, this is how we can represent a point with x and y coordinate using a tuple. My point equal open parentheses 3, 5, close parentheses. We can also use tuple to store RGB values for colors. For example, this is how we can represent the color of purple using a tuple. Purple equal open parentheses 128, 0, 128, close parentheses. Another common use case for tuple is to unpack them into separate variables. This is the opposite of tuple packing, where we assign multiple values to one variable. For example, this is how we can unpack our point tuple into two variables, x, y equal point. This will assign 3 to x and 5 to y. We can also use this technique to swap the values of two variables without using a temporary variable. For example, this is how we can swap the values of x and y using tuples. X, y equal y, x. This will assign 5 to x and 3 to y. As tuples are immutable, tuples have fewer methods than lists. Here are the most commonly used methods for tuples in Python. The count method returns the number of times a specified value appears in a tuple. The index method returns the index of the first occurrence of a specified value in the tuple. If the value is not found, it raises a value error. These are the two main methods available for tuples in Python. Since tuples are immutable, they do not have method for adding or removing elements like lists do. You can check that a value is present within a tuple by using the operator in. Print 3 in my tuple will print true. Print 4 in my tuple will print false. You can nest tuple within other tuples in Python. This means that you can have a tuple as an element of another tuple. In this example, my tuple is a tuple that contains two elements, both of which are also tuples. You can access the nested tuple using indexing, just like you would with any other element of a tuple. Nesting tuple can be useful when you need to store structured data, such as a list of coordinates or a matrix. As you can see, tuples are very useful and versatile data type in Python. They allow us to store multiple values in a single variable, access them by index, and unpack them into separate variables. They are also faster, safer, and more suitable for certain tasks than lists. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.